Hey y'all, and welcome back. Today I am very excited because we are going to be playing with the Jeffree Star Thirsty Palette. I just went ahead and come out and said it. I didn't have anything else to get to beforehand. We're just going to play with this palette. I do think that this is going to be a little bit of a longer video though, because there's kind of a lot to talk about with this one. I actually want to do swatches, I want to do a demo, and I want to do like a full review of it, whereas usually I just kind of do a tutorial. So you might want to grab some coffee, some tea, your favorite beverage of choice, maybe some popcorn, because who knows how entertaining this will be, I don't know. But I just want to go ahead and get right into this palette. If you guys have watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that his blood sugar palette, the Jeffree Star blood sugar palette, is hands down one of my absolute favorite palettes that I own. But one of the problems, I guess, that I can say that I had with it is look at this. Look, it's literally the size of an old VHS. Like, I wouldn't travel with this. I love it a ton, but I honestly would never take this with me traveling because it literally needs like its own diva suitcase because it is so large. Now, I think either that was intentional, you know, because this is kind of supposed to be like a first aid kit sort of thing, but the Thirsty palette is a wonderful, nice, compact size. This is way more portable, definitely something that, you know, if I end up liking it, I will take with me, you know, traveling or just anywhere, because I would not take the blood sugar palette anywhere despite how much I really enjoy it. So already, that's a big plus for this. Now, this is the packaging that it comes in. I do like it. I like that it's textured, and if you're thinking about, what are they called? Ice lollies in the UK or popsicles here. This really does make me kind of feel like I want a popsicle, and I haven't had a popsicle in years. And the palette actually looks exactly like that. It's a slightly different orange, but it's textured, and I do like that. It's like a little extra touch to the palette. One thing that I do want to point out about this palette is not only does it have like a huge mirror, it's wonderful. I do like palettes with very big mirrors. The plastic that protects the shadows is like the most heavy duty. And funny enough, the blood sugar palette didn't come with one. You know, maybe I just got one that didn't have one, but mine did not come with a plastic protector sheet. So not only is this good, obviously, for protecting the shadows, but if you wanted to use this instead for like mixing foundations or, you know, just something for you to put your products on and like to be able to clean off easily, this is really, really good. So I appreciate that. If you are looking to purchase this palette, unfortunately it is sold out online at jeffreestarcosmetics.com. I don't know if any other retailer is selling this right now besides his own line, but it is $48 online. I have it up right here just because I wanted to double check for y'all. And you get 15 shades. In comparison, the blood sugar palette was $52 and you got 18 shades. I believe these pans are actually the same size. Yeah, they do look very similar. One second. Compared to the blood sugar palette, the pans are the exact same size. So if you can tell, there are, again, there's 18 shades in the blood sugar palette, 15 in Thirsty, but they are the same size. So that is nice to know. But if you also noticed, compared to like the shimmers here in the blood sugar palette, the ones in the Thirsty palette do not have the star stamp. If you guys watched Jeffree Star's video where he debuted this entire collection, you'll know that he reformulated the shimmers in the Thirsty palette from the formula that he used in the blood sugar palette. So what I want to do real quick before we get into anything else is I want to swatch a couple of them side by side so you can tell the difference. Okay, so you're going to have to excuse the scratch on my hand here. It is thank you to an overzealous cat who wanted his food before I was finished making it. But the top row here, these are all swatches from the Blood Sugar palette. You can tell they're super creamy. Like just running your fingers in it, they're so creamy, they're super pigmented, and they glide on really easily. Now, the bottom row here, these are the ones from the Thirsty palette, while the silver one here and then the gold or kind of, I don't know, bronze on this side, they were very, very creamy, much like these ones up here. This middle one was super, super chunky. I also got a lot of fallout in the pan when I was trying to swatch this middle shade here of that gold one versus like the silver and the kind of bronzy shade. I had no fallout whatsoever, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well. But this shade here is already kind of crumbling a little bit versus the other two that I tried. They're still like completely intact. So, not really sure about the reformulation of these. Like, are they all supposed to be different? Are they all the same formula? Because, if they feel like two totally different formulas in this. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough, kind of getting into it before we actually use it kind of thing. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it and see how we feel about it. We're going to go ahead, I think, start out with some of the matte shades. They are supposedly the same formula as the ones in the Blood Sugar palette. So I'm crossing my fingers that we don't actually have any problems with these. As usual, I primed and set my lids prior to filming, but today, instead of using a translucent powder like I usually do, I went ahead and used this shade right here called Parched. So to start out, I think I'm going to go ahead and dig into one of these beautiful brown shades. So let's go ahead and start out here with this shade called Subtle, and taking a big fat fluffy brush, I'm just going to run this in the crease and slightly above the crease. I'm really excited about this shade because this one's actually more of like a cooler toned brown, and you don't see those too often in a lot of palettes, so here's to hoping that this shade turns out nice. For the next shade, we're going to go a little warmer, and instead we're going to go into this one here called Kumquat, and we're going to keep this shade just below the first one that we put down, Subtle. Okay, so we have both of those brown shades down, and now I want to go into the outer corner with a really bright shade. I really don't know which one I want to use. I was convinced from the moment I saw this palette that I wanted to use this really bright blue, but now that I've actually seen it in person, I almost want to try, like, this teal. I just really don't know. I guess we'll go ahead and stick to the plan, and we'll go into this bright blue next called Submerge. With a small, tiny little blender brush, I'm going to go ahead and dip into Submerge, and I'm going to start building the shade up here on the outer corner. I don't know how long it'll take to get the intensity that I want, but we're going to build this up and go probably about a third of the way in with this blue. Alright, so FYI, this works a heck of a lot better if you stamp it on than if you try to blend it on, because that wasn't doing squat. But stamping it and then kind of going back in and feathering out the edges, now this works beautifully. I don't really know how I feel about the blue shade. I honestly, with the Blood Sugar palette, every shade in there is so pigmented, you don't need to put anything down underneath for it to really pop. Now this one, I really don't know, because it's just, I might still get the end result that I was looking for. I don't really know, but we're gonna move on, and if I have to go back and kind of tweak it a little bit, I will. So for the next part, now that I know that this blue is not going to do what I originally wanted it to do, I am going to go in with some concealer and cut my lid about 2/3 of the way in. I think this is the only way that we're going to get the shades to stand out the way that I want them to. So again, like usual, taking my concealer and I'm going to run it on the back of my hand. And taking my tiny little e.l.f. brush, I'm just going to go ahead and start carving out this lid. So like I said, probably going to take it about 2/3 of the way anyway. So this blue is not going to be like a big deal, but we'll see. Okay, so my lids are cut about 2/3 of the way in, and now I think I want to go into this bright yellow shade here called Quench. And that is this shade right here, and I am taking a small little flat brush, and I'm going to take this on about the inner third of the lid, and just pack it on and build it up as intense as I can get. I don't know if this is just me or not, or if, anyone else is having this dilemma, but I just feel like these bright shades are not nearly as bright as they look in the pan. I've had to build this up like 4 separate times just to get it to look like this. And I didn't set my concealer before I put this on. I really wanted it to stick, and I thought this would work better, but it's really not. Okay, that took way more effort than it should have. And I'm still really not that happy with it. I don't know how easily you can tell. I can kind of get a little closer. But can you see on the lid here? It is so patchy. It's I don't know. Anyway, it's time for the shade in the middle, and I really want to do one of these shimmers. I initially wanted to use the one that actually came out really chunky, and that is this one here called Filthy Rich, but I think now, that I've tested some of these, I want to go into this one here called Divine because it was such a gorgeous, vibrant silver. I took some of that really beautiful silver Divine on my finger right here, and I'm going to start out by just placing it with my finger, and then we're going to have to blend it out and get the edges with a small detail brush. But we're just going to place it first with my finger. Normally, this is the part of the video where I come back and we do the lower lash line. But, as you can see, my whole look is complete. Unfortunately, I just got too frustrated with these colors to come back and do the lower lash line because it was just giving me the blues. Like I said, I still agree. I really liked that silver shade and thought, man, this is going to save this look. And it really didn't. The problem is that it really doesn't blend very well on top of the matte shades. So when I go to blend them out, it's either really stark silver or really stark, blue or yellow. They don't mesh at all together. So anyway, I thought at this point instead I would go ahead and give you guys my thoughts on this palette. So do I hate it? No. I think hate is a very strong word, and I don't think that this is quite at that point yet. But, compared to the Blood Sugar palette, which is one of my favorites, this doesn't even rank anywhere near the top. I can't remember if I actually mentioned it during, when I was filming, but the matte shades in here, they're pretty awesome. I really do like them. I love that there are actually 2 right here. So this is Subtle and Dazzle. These are 2 cooler toned browns, and you don't get that in a lot of palettes, so I do appreciate those. I thought all of the more transition-y shades in this palette blended perfect. But when you get to the really bright shades, which, in the Blood Sugar palette, those pinks and purples really pop, and it takes 0 effort whatsoever to pack them on and get that really intense look. to them. These ones here, so Quench and Submerge, I didn't try any of these here yet, and I didn't try Splash. But the two that I did try took so much effort to get vibrant and full, and I still am not really happy with how the blue turned out. I don't know, I don't understand, I guess, how the colors in the Blood Sugar palette are so vibrant and so easy to blend, and then these bright ones are just extremely, extremely difficult. I just really don't know how I feel about the rest of the palette. I will try it out a little bit more. I'll try it with like a different base. I also want to try it with, what is that stuff called? I want to try it with some Duraline. I do have a little bottle of Duraline. Maybe I can get these bright shades to be a little more pigmented and, you know, pack a little bit more of a punch. If I can get it, you know, the right consistency, I don't know. So, you know, do I recommend buying this palette? No. If the Thirsty palette is your first foray into Jeffree Star Cosmetics, I think you're going to be kind of disappointed. You know, like I said, there are definitely some shades that are big winners, but for me right now, like as a first impression, having not tried anything else with this yet, I don't know. It's just, it was a little disappointing considering how much I loved, you know, his other palette, but you know, you win some, you lose some. I also just remembered that I did order that Violet Voss, I think it's the Flamingo palette, and I totally just, it slipped my mind because I pre-ordered it, you know, a while back. So I do kind of want to do a comparison eventually with the Violet Voss one and the Jeffree Star one, the Thirsty palette, and kind of see how some of the colors compare because there's a lot of really similar shades in both. But, you know, as it stands right now, I don't really recommend getting this one unless, you know, I don't, it might work for you. I don't know. But for me personally, it's a no. Despite some of the trouble that I did have with this palette, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button either down below or right up here in the corner before you leave. I hope you guys are having an awesome week, and I cannot wait to catch you all in my next video. Bye guys!